Good morning, YouTubers. T-Square here with T-Square Talk. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Back to the grind. Got a great video, though, for you guys, especially with 2 days to kind of think about what we're going to make a video on today. I had a great conversation with two foreigners yesterday. One of them was from the Middle East. One of them was from Vietnam. And it gave me a good opportunity to kind of talk with them a little bit. And it was kind of funny because I always tend to talk to foreigners whenever I meet them. I love hearing their stories. I love hearing their thoughts. And when I was talking to this young lady from Vietnam, we were discussing different stuff. And she brought up how she believes in gold. And silver, there's nothing special about silver. Gold is what you invest in. Silver, it just goes up and down and up and down and back and forth. But gold always goes up. And it was great to talk to her because she had a firm understanding of essentially the way currency is getting devalued. And she's seen it in her country. She's seen it in this country. She says gold and land. That's where you put your money. That's all you should put your money to, gold and land. And so we talked about it back and forth. And I'm going to tell you guys in this video how that conversation went. What's better? What's better to buy, gold or silver? I think this is a great, hearing it from two different foreigners and their thoughts. I think it gave me a lot to think about. Personally, I'm still pro silver. But in this video, I'm going to be reading a couple things with you guys and we'll talk it out. And in the end, please comment. What do you think? Gold or silver? Where would you rather put your money? We're talking, if someone gave you right now $1,000 in gold or $1,000 in silver, what would you rather have? So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please, if you would, hit that thumbs up button. Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. I love hearing gold or silver. And with that being said, special thank you to all of our members of the channel. And let's jump right in and let's check out real quick the silver price before we get talking. We got silver right now at 36.06. I do think silver is going to go a little higher this week as we get closer to the Fed meeting, but then I think it's all going to get broken down, and I think we'll see a beat down after that. And it will be downhill pretty much for the end of the month, but we've talked about that in yesterday's video, and we'll talk about that again in an upcoming video. Taking a quick look at the gold price right now sitting at 33.15, pretty much flat right now in overnight trading. It is Sunday night at the, well, no, technically it's Monday morning. It's 1 o'clock Monday morning. So I guess technically it is Monday morning. Taking a quick look at Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin trading at 105,508. DXY sitting pretty much right at 99, down a little bit, but it's been hovering right around 99 for a while now. We can't see the DXY come down too much this close to the Fed meeting because we do have the Fed meeting coming up, and essentially they're going to want to pop this up a little bit. So we'll see how that plays out. We got the U.S. debt clock real quick. We're at 36,955 billion. I said I think we're going to hit it on the 20th. Anybody that wants to say what day you think we'll hit it on, I think we're going to hit the 37 trillion on the 20th of the month, and we're 11 days away, so we'll see how that plays out. No point in taking a look at Dow, NASDAQ, or S&P because it's not open. Well, it will be opening here shortly, but nothing has changed really right now. Taking a quick look, obviously everything is coming down to the Fed meeting. What's the Fed going to do? Obviously, Trump wants to see him cut rates by a full point. The Fed looking like they're not even going to cut rates. Personally, I don't know what they're going to do on this one. There's a lot of pressure on a 1-point cut right now. Do I think they'll cut? I mean, it's up in the air still. It's still too soon to call. I think once a little bit of information starts leaking out, a little bit more numbers start showing, obviously the jobs numbers, they're seeing that the jobs market has cooled a little bit, and that's kind of worries the Fed a little bit. Truth of the matter is, if the jobs numbers go down, I would think less people are going to spend frivolously. They're not going to be buying a lot of stuff. Therefore, a lower interest rate could push people into buying. So we'll see how that plays out, though. Okay, so real quick, right off the bat, take a quick look at the gold-silver ratio. Even though this is a 100-year chart, but what I want people to really look at is where we're at in the 100 years. Now, we've seen the gold-silver ratio get up to 97, essentially, and this was in, the 1940. We've seen it go up again to over 100, pretty much, well, right around 100 in 91. We've seen it go up. A lot of us were stacking when this one happened, because this one, and here's the thing, in 2020, this chart right here actually shows it at 114, but it actually got up to like 126. So, but what I want you to look at is where we are currently. We're pretty much right around technically, as of right this minute, we're actually at the 93 mark if you were to do the math out, which would put us down here a little bit lower. But on this chart, it kind of has it on this line right here, which puts it pretty close to a high. But even no matter whether you look at the actual number or the number that this chart's showing, we are in the higher spectrum, which means it has a lot of room to come down. Now, how much down can it come? I mean, 70 to 1, I could actually picture coming down to 70 to 1 pretty easy. Usually when it starts coming down, it overshoots and comes a little too far. Some people say there's no such thing as too far, because technically it should be 15 to 1. But being realistic, if it was at 15 to 1 on this chart, that would put it really below the average. And that would almost signal to me that I would want to trade some of my silver in for gold. Now, I know some people out there are saying, well, no, you wouldn't want to do that because gold is real money. And at some point, you have to understand you wouldn't want to do that because silver is used so much in industry that, yes, gold is money, but with the silver demand continuing to pick up, at some point, some people believe there'll be a 1-to-1 ratio. I don't see a 1-to-1 anytime soon in most of our lifetimes. But, hey, if you got 20 plus years in front of you, then you might end up seeing that. So real quick, I want to jump on today's topic about how that conversation went. So as I was sitting here talking to this young lady, like I said, I love talking to foreign people because they have a different look, a different outlook on the way things are, the way the world is. This lady is over here. She's working multiple jobs, and essentially she likes to invest and save her money so she can go back home someday and live a good lifestyle and have a nice chunk of US dollars saved up. The average American, to me, from what I've seen, and I'm saying average here, I want to walk a fine line because I don't want to make it sound like I am totally trashing Americans. I'm not. But the average American has been taught to spend. And when I was talking to her, she said, the thing is, in our country, we save and then we buy the item we want. In this country, y'all just buy. And, you don't really worry about anything. You just keep making payments. You charge everything. And she's absolutely right. A lot of people tend to buy pretty much whatever. She went on to talk to me after that. We talked about how prices are going up and what I thought about the dollar, what she thought about the dollar. And she said, the dollar, it's losing value, but it's not just the dollar. She said it's every currency. Every currency in the world is losing dollars, is losing value. And, once you realize that, you understand, well, I want to put my money somewhere where it's safe. She explained to me that some of her land had gone up in value over the years, and her land that she owns is overseas. And she says, I can, save my money here, buy land over there, and just keep accumulating land. And someday go back and have that land. She explained to me how her land produces a small amount of money through I guess, rice growing, and I think she said eucalyptus, but I wanted to look that up. I was like, I didn't even know eucalyptus grew in Asia. I thought that was like an Australian thing, but I guess it would make sense since panda bears eat eucalyptus leaves too, not just koalas. So, needless to say, we got into the gold and silver. And this is where it took an interesting turn, because so far we had agreed on almost everything. And my other friend, who's from the Middle East, was just sitting there listening and kind of chuckling a little bit, because he tends to like to give me a hard time because he puts all Americans in the same boat, as mostly, I don't want to say lazy, but I mean, he's like, nah, Americans, they don't want to work. They want to live off the system. They want to just charge what they want. And then foreigners come over here, we work really hard, and then we get called names and this and that, and how they make it sound like the government gives us everything. And he's like, that's totally not true. So we were talking for a while, and this conversation went for, I was shockingly, hours. And at one point, she said, she believes only gold, not silver. And so then I asked my other friend from the Middle East, and he said, I told you, I think gold has hit 3,300, and I think it's going to sit at 3,300 for a while. We might see a bump up to 35 again. We might see a drop down to 3,000 again. But overall, it's going to stay in this range around 3,300. And I would disagree with that. He said, but I think silver is going to skyrocket. And I said, I would definitely agree with that. And he goes, I would rather have silver. She said, no. She goes, let me ask you this. If I have $1,000 in gold and he has $1,000 in silver, which one are you going to buy? He goes, and he said, well, think about it. Silver has not gone up as much as gold. Gold is skyrocketed. Gold is at an all-time high right now. Silver hasn't really gone where it should go. He said, I would rather have the silver. But he goes, I know. He goes, I understand gold and silver. She goes, no, but most people would say gold. And he said, you're right. Most people probably would say gold because they recognize it. Everywhere in the world, and this is what she said. She goes, you can go to any country in the world, and they're going to want to buy your gold. That's not the same for silver. And that's true. I mean, yes, people around the globe want gold and silver. It's both highly recognized. But there's a whole lot more trust and recognition for gold than there is for silver. And after talking, I said, I would kind of agree with that, but in profit potential, you could still sell your silver. And she goes, you might be able to sell it. You might be able to find someone that will buy your silver, but you're not going to have a hard time finding someone that will buy your gold. You can go to any jewelry shop and they'll probably buy your gold off you and give you near spot price. And I like it when I hear these terms from people, because these terms, tell me that the person does understand what's going on. They can have a conversation. I really like thought-provoking conversations with people, and I tend to get more of that from foreigners. I had a conversation with another lady today where I was talking about the dollar, and she kind of just shut down. She goes, I'm not interested in it, really. I don't want to hear it, T. She goes, you've been talking about that for 8 years. Nothing major has happened. And nothing probably will. We don't know what's going on. Yeah, the economy's in a rough spot right now. We've been there before, And so when you hear these things, you really understand why foreign countries are doing so well. It's their mentality. Their mentality on what real money is. What's going on in the world. So I pulled up this. I was curious about, do more people... I said civilians because I didn't know what the proper term to use. Do civilians in more countries like gold, or do they prefer silver? Across the globe, I wanted to read through this and see what it said, and I figured I'd talk about it a little bit. Across the globe, gold and silver is valued by civilians, but often for different reasons and with varying degrees of popularity in different countries and cultures. And this is true, I do believe, just at a quick glance on that paragraph, I would say that Asian countries prefer gold more, whereas Indian countries in that area prefer silver. I guess America would be a little bit of both. We don't really know about the average American doesn't really understand either of these, so who knows? Gold has a long-standing recognition and trust. Gold has long history as a store of value and is widely recognized and trusted globally. So, I mean, on that one, I would say that silver does too, but I guess they put that only as a gold pro. I think silver has been around for a long time. I mean, countries have been won and lost with silver, but who knows? A safe haven asset. It's often seen as a reliable hedge against economic instability, inflation, and currency devaluation. And we're seeing that here right now, specifically in the United States. We're seeing them have currency crises right now. The dollar is not in a full-blown devaluation, but it is getting devalued. We are seeing inflation, economic instability. I mean, people are starting to look at the United States as we can't pay our bills. So, you're starting to see this stuff form up here. And a lot of people are moving to gold, but there's a lot of people out there that are hedging with silver. Culture has a historical significance. Gold holds significant culture and historically importance in many societies, often associated with wealth, prestige, even religious rituals. For example, in India, females hold vast amounts of gold for cultural purposes like weddings and financial security. See, from my experience, what I've heard from talking to Indian people, they prefer silver right now. I'm seeing silver growing in popularity there more than anywhere. Lower volatility. Generally, gold has less volatility than silver, which makes it a preferred choice for investors to prioritizing stability over long-term preservation of capital. So, yeah, I mean, you don't see volatility. You don't see gold drop drastically today and then skyrocket tomorrow. We've seen silver go up $3 or 10%, and then the next week it plunges 10%. So, I mean, when you see this, you understand that there is a huge manipulation out there on silver. And that's why I think it's so volatile, is because of the manipulation. If it wasn't for all the manipulation, if it was as easy as you can't sell silver or you can't sell gold if you don't have it, there's no such thing as paper silver and paper gold, then I don't think we would have the volatility that we see right now. I believe that the volatility comes from essentially the paper, the manipulation. So yeah, it makes some good arguments for gold. Under the silver, I'm curious what they're going to say. Obviously, industrial applications. Silver is widely used in various industries, including electronics, solar panels, medical devices, and much more. This industry demand can influence the price and potential growth. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing such high demand for silver in technology that it's going to keep going up, in my personal opinion. And I don't think there's going to be any slowing down. I mean, we might see dips, like I said, because of the manipulation. But as a whole, I think silver is going to be the big winner in the end. Affordable. Definitely affordable. Silver is generally more accessible to smaller investors due to lower price per ounce compared to gold. I see that clearly. I have some friends that they say, I don't have $3,500 to buy an ounce of gold, but I do have $40 for an ounce of silver. Shoot, even if it goes to $50, I can still afford that. Now, the argument might be, well, I can buy some of those grams. I can buy some 1/10 ounces. And maybe you want to buy those gold bucks that a lot of people like. I personally am not a fan of the high premiums. But I do think they're really beautiful. I'll be honest. The couple that I have seen now only on videos. I've still never held one in my hand yet. I'm afraid once I hold one, I may have a totally different outlook on this stuff. I'd like to get my hands on one at some point, but I'm not going to order one per se. But if I go to one of the shops and they have one and it's, under $10, I might buy it just to hold it and have it. And then go from there and see how much I like it. I guess some of those little bundles of 100 would be kind of cool to get $101 gold bucks. But like I said, the premiums on them are really high. So, but I think the collectability on them will probably grow pretty good, especially if they start taking off. I had watched a video the other day that the first 3 states have actually discontinued making them temporarily, and they're going to roll out all new designs pretty soon. And so I'm like, well, that means those first ones will probably go up as a collectible. Higher volatility and potential for returns. So yeah, I mean, it does go up and down. It has big swings, but on the flip side, the potential for returns is astronomical on how much you get. I mean, we could see silver go from, $36 to $300. It's possible. A lot of people don't believe that's possible, but I think it could happen pretty easily, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a slow road. But here's the thing. Once silver breaks through 50, I mean, some people will say gold going from 2,000 to 3,000 should have been a slow road, but it clearly wasn't. Once it broke through 2 and held for a little bit, it was off to the races. And it didn't just go to 3, it went to 3,500. So I think that the potential for the returns are huge. Silver has higher volatility, which means it can experience a sharper price swing, potentially offering larger gains during bullish times, but also it can have bigger drops during bad times. Growing in popularity. Silver is gaining popularity as an investment, especially for those seeking potential for higher returns and diversification within the precious metals. So yeah, that's a huge one. I think people that are looking for that grand slam like me, I'll be honest, I like gold. It's a great hedge. I have some, but I love silver. I love silver because the potential there for that grand slam hit is huge. Can you imagine if silver goes to 360 from 36? That's a 10x move. And most of us have not been, we've been buying in the 36 range, but most of us have been buying long before 36. Most of us were buying at 20. So 20 to 200, that's a 10x move, and that's not unlikely in the least. Which is liked more. It's difficult to say definitively which metal is liked more by civilians globally, as preference can vary significantly. However, based on the previous information, for its perceived stability and long-term value, gold appears to be more traditionally and widely recognized option. So according to this, central banks, for one example, tend to prefer gold for its stability. So in this aspect, I guess she would have taken the win according to this. But it does go on to say, for its potential in growth and affordability, silver is increasingly attractive option for investors looking for potential higher returns and for more accessible entry points into precious metals. I'll be honest, I've bought in both, and I mean, I'm not worried about necessarily the entry point because I recognize I can buy a 1/10, I can buy a 1/4, I can buy a 1/2, or I can buy a 1 ounce. But I do definitely like essentially the growth potential to maybe 10x my money would be something else. And here's the thing. For some people out there that might make a comment that, well, 10xing your money, I mean, you're asking for a pipe dream. It's not because the metal is just going to skyrocket in price. It's because they've been manipulating the price of silver for so long so they can grow. Essentially, it's a huge industrial metal. They're growing technology. I even believe that there are organizations in the world or entities or whatever that's withholding technology. And they're purposely not rolling out some of this technology because they know that once they roll out that technology, the demand for certain materials will be off the charts. And there's a possibility that there is technology out there that once they release it to the public and the public all wants it, that you're going to see certain precious metals or certain resources just skyrocket. And here's the thing. Them entities are already going to control the majority of it. Look at the stack of silver that JP Morgan is buying. Look at how much silver they have. Why do they have so much? Once you look at that, you understand there's got to be a reason. Do they just know it's going to go higher at some point? Are they just buying it because they have an OCD fetish with silver? I don't think so. I think they're going after it because they know where the price is going to go. In summary, both gold and silver are popular precious metals among civilians, each with unique characteristics and appealing to different preferences and investment goals. So I think this is huge. I think silver, a lot of people haven't woken up yet to silver. And that was the vibe that I got. And when I asked the guy from the Middle East, I said, what do you think? He goes, you got to understand, T, the average person out there does not understand what you know about silver. But most people know what gold is. Gold has been talked about forever. Silver hasn't been. You're kind of basing your choice off of your knowledge. You're not taking into consideration the majority of the people in the world are always going to choose gold over silver, the majority. And honestly, the majority of them will probably choose fiat dollars over gold because they don't understand. They just don't understand what is happening to our purchasing power. Once they understand that will come. Unfortunately, some lessons are learned hard. When they learn that lesson, it will be too late. They will miss the opportunity to buy both gold and silver at affordable prices. Can you imagine if all of a sudden they skyrocket the price of gold to $15,000 and silver to, we'll just say, $300 for a quick minute? And who knows? If gold goes up that high, I think silver is going to be a whole lot higher than that. But let's just say for a minute they did that. At that point, people are going to wake up. But it's too late for them. It's too late for them to pick it up. They can't go and build up the stack. Whoa, what happened to my screen? Oh, no. I don't know if... Remind me later. I don't know what that was. They're going to miss the opportunity. When I've seen somebody stack one day, he did a full stack video on his gold coins, and it was huge. I couldn't believe it. When I talked to him, he had been buying gold coins all the way back when it was like $300. And I'm like, what? $400 an ounce? I wished I had gotten that knowledge when I was younger. That's why I pass this knowledge on to my kid, to different people, so they can understand. And they may not utilize it, but at the end of the day, they'll remember the conversation. And hopefully not when it's too late. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Would you prefer gold or would you prefer silver? I'm curious to hear what you think. And if you want to put a little bit of a comment on why, I would definitely love to hear that. With that being said, going to wrap the video up here. Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Check out some of these other great videos. It really helps the channel out. And I'd love to read y'all's comments. Take care, everybody, and have a great day. And a great week. And we're kicking it off Monday morning. Take care. Have a great one. Bye-bye.